Well, British regulators have blocked Microsoft's $69 billion deal to buy video game maker Activision Blizzard. The Competition and Markets Authority says the acquisition would have stifled competition in the cloud gaming market. The all-cash deal was set to be the biggest in the history of the tech industry, giving Microsoft control of popular game franchises like Call of Duty and Candy Crush. Well, let's dig into this a little more. Joining us live from Silver Spring, Maryland, is Sherr. He's a freelance technology analyst who has covered the video game industry now for over a decade. Ian, let me start by asking you on behalf of all of our viewers who are wondering, what is cloud gaming?
So part of what's been very interesting about this whole debate is this thing you bring up, cloud gaming. It's actually a little different from what we usually think of, right? Normally, when you think of video games, you think of a controller and a console plugged into a TV, or maybe a computer and being able to play your games that way, or maybe on your phone. Cloud gaming is kind of like Netflix, right? The whole idea is that the very powerful computer is somewhere else, and it's streaming the video to your home, and you're able to play interactively with the game. This is something that's very nascent. It's been around for many years, but no company's been able to really figure it out. But it's believed broadly to be the future of where video games are going, which is why the Competition Market Authority is worried about it.
Sure. Well, that leads me on to the next question, because I'm curious about the scale of the deal. $69 billion, is that the largest ever for the industry? That suggests that this is going to be huge.
From what I can, my memory, right, which is a little Swiss cheese when it comes to all of the numbers, but my memory is that, yes, this is the largest. And I think what's important to keep in mind here is that even though it's the largest acquisition, definitely in Microsoft's history, and I believe in the entire video game industry, the reality is that still, this is not the biggest thing for Microsoft. Right? When you think of Microsoft today, you think of artificial intelligence, you think about the computer, software, Windows, all these other things. Video games are an important part of their business, and obviously they're spending a lot of money on it. But it is not the only part of their business, which is what's, I think, very fascinating, and maybe part of why all of these regulators are worried about Microsoft growing even larger and more powerful.
Sure. Well, speaking of regulators, by my understanding, to go through, this deal would have to be approved by bodies in the UK, but also the United States and the European Union. And it already sounds like it's not really just the Brits who have concerns here.
No, the Federal Trade Commission here in the United States has definitely voted to say that they are going to fight this as well. And look, this is one of those things where if the government says they're not going to allow it to go through, eventually it becomes too much trouble for Microsoft to keep fighting, and they may pull the plug. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And in particular, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the tech industry responds to all of this, because reality is that for a long time, a lot of these acquisitions were rubber stamp deals, right? Facebook buying Instagram, Facebook buying Oculus, all these other things that have happened over the years. And now suddenly the government is stepping in, definitely at a time when a lot of governments around the world are not liking the tech world. And they're saying, look, we aren't okay with you buying each other up and consolidating. And that may mean a new kind of way of being for the tech world.
Very interesting trends indeed. Sherr there, a freelance technology analyst speaking to us from Silver Spring in Maryland. Always great to get your thoughts, Ian. Thanks for joining us again on Al Jazeera.
Thanks for having me.